Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Nights with Ping here. Seems weird to say that. I'm always saying Websleuths live, but how are you all? I see a lot of people in the chat, a lot of my friends. Give me 2 minutes while I get ready and I'll say hello to everyone while I'm doing so. Laura G, good to see you. Laura T, we have two Lauras, both spelled differently, but they're both Lauras. So there you go. James Avery, good to see you, mate. Happy to have you here. Sherry's here. Danny Mitchell. Hey, Danny Mitchell. And who else we got? Siana was here earlier. Good to see you, Siana. Lindy Bridges. Hey, Lindy Bridges. And Paygirl. I finally got your name right for once. I always get confused with numbers and letters when they're next to each other. What's an I? What's an E? All right, let's get ready. Teresa's here. Hey, Teresa. And my buddy Gambler. Everyone's here. We're going to talk hurricanes. Hurricanes in the world. Give me a second. I wanted to show you just a little bit. I'm sure you've probably seen this on every bloody news channel, but it feels wrong not to show this. So let's just have a look at where it is and where it's going. It's still a little far away. It looks like Saturday, 8 a.m. It's going to be off the coast a little bit, and it's going to progress. So this is one of the areas where they think it's going to get the most impact, somewhere here in around Baja. It's going to get one of the most vicious impacts, probably around here where there's a bay. You get a lot of water that pushes up into these low-lying areas. They're probably going to cop a lot of it, and because they're only a thin stretch of land, it's going to be pretty brutal, unfortunately, I think, especially if it can maintain its rating. I think that, they're going to need a lot of help, a lot of assistance, and hopefully the US government will send supplies and help and things like that, because they are going to need it. It's been a few years, I think, since they actually had one of the big ones, like a Cat 4 or higher. So, but the one that everyone's worried about, and I think in America, is San Diego. How bad is San Diego going to get? Or like just up here? One of the things I think that I've seen them talking about is more about the rainfall that's getting out into the mountains, and then it accumulates, runs down the mountains, and then they floods places at the base of the mountains. I've seen really crazy floods in California, mudslides that take out highways and stuff. It can get pretty crazy. So what category are they forecasting? Laura G says, I'm not sure it's going to get much higher than this, but we'll see if it intensifies overnight. We'd have to have a look at the track. Let's have a look. What have I got here? Forecast intensity. It looks like here, Friday morning update. It's a Cat 4. It could get it, but I'm just trying to find a better update. I think if anytime you get between a Cat 4 and Cat 5, it's bad news either way. Does this map have it that we were on? No, it's just the forecast forecast cone. Let's have a look. I had like 10 links up, and then I killed them all. So medium, hurricane, and then there. Just trying to see if there's a better thing for it here. Let's share this one. So that's the other forecast track I was looking at. I'm just trying to find an expected outcome or expected top category. Like Cat 5. It's what? No. So it says Hillary's forecast to remain a Cat 4. So I don't think they're expecting any more intensification cycles with it. So sometimes you'll get like what they call rapid intensification, and the water may be getting maybe slightly too cool the further it gets north, and it's not getting enough fuel to keep doing those rebuilding of the eye wall and cycles of rapid intensification. So, but Category 4 is nothing to sniff at, especially if you're down in that Baja region. I think, they are in for a real, rough, probably 12 to 18 hours, and then whatever the expected time of recovery will be. It could be weeks, could be a long time, especially where we're showing you some of those low-lying areas where they have like rivers and bays and things like that, because you get storm surge that pushes through. But if you want to talk about California, I think California is majorly going to be uh, a wind and rain threat for the most part, flooding threat. I don't know if we're going to see. We might see a couple of tornadoes. Could see some water spouts that come ashore, especially along um, the beaches and around that area. You could see a couple of little tornadoes come across, and they're not going to be massive, but could see a couple of little ones. Laura G says Cat 4 is a monster, especially for areas that aren't used to hurricanes. There was a hurricane a few years ago in this exact same area. Let me have a look. I just want to make sure. It was 2015? Hurricane Patricia. Hurricane Patricia was a pretty. Is that the right one? Yes, October 2015 to 24th of October 2015. Highest wind speed 345 kilometers an hour, and that impacted a similar area, if I'm not mistaken. A little further south, not quite as far north, but they do see sometimes every now and then these type of large hurricanes. So this one's just a little further north than normal. So that's what makes it a little more interesting. Sort of when, if you guys remember about 10, 12 years ago, New York had the hurricane that made its way all the way up the East Coast and then impacted New Jersey and New York flooded. And was that 10 years ago or like 15 years ago? I cannot remember. Oh, how's it going? They say, oh, I'll put you on the screen. Give me 2 seconds. Let me switch. There we go. It says, Wasport says, I've been through 2 hurricanes and 2 tropical storms. I have been through a couple of ex-tropical storms, and I've been through 2 what we call cyclones, which are similar to hurricanes. But yeah, Hurricane Sandy, you guys are right. I still remember that. They shut down all of New York, so every now and then you get one that sneaks through the defenses and sort of gets up further than it should. And I think, yeah, we just got to pray for the people down south, I think, where this should make landfall around that Baja region. I think that's the last update I saw, that it was going to make landfall around there. So, yeah, somewhere around here, I think, is what they're saying. You can see where that land intersects. So it could be somewhere here, could be somewhere further up. When you see these cones, it's like, 50 miles either side. And what they mean by that is it could be anywhere in this cone could experience hurricane winds or hurricane threats. Doesn't mean, it's not going to happen. It just means you may not get the center of it, but you may still feel the hurricane. Hey, Woos. Thankfully, where I live in southeast New South Wales, we don't get them. Well, you sometimes do. The ones that start in Queensland and then move their way down the east coast, they may not still be hurricanes, but cyclones, but they sometimes do become ex-tropical cyclones and they do impact New South Wales. So sometimes you guys get them, but not that often. We actually were going to go up into northern New South Wales a few years ago and try and see that one that made it down the coast. Yeah, probably near Canberra. You're probably not going to feel much. You might get a bit of rain or something, but you're not going to get any tropical storm force winds or anything like that. It's a bit too cold and a bit too hilly in Canberra. You're not going to really feel much. But good to have you. I like to have the Aussies here. It's good to see you. Hold on. I've been talking too much and I didn't fix the camera. So there we go. Hey guys, how's it going? For people who don't know me, I'm Ping. I do the live shows on websleuth.com. I fill in for Trish when she's away, and I do the Sunday night show over there. I made this channel so I could do, I don't know, a little bit of other things that are not quite true crime related and a bit more of my other interests at times. So tonight we're talking a little bit about weather. So yeah, it's a little bit different. But I wanted to show you this. I saw this come across my newsfeed today, and it's probably one of the best videos I've seen this year. to do with severe weather. So I'm going to get myself out of here and then play this for you.
Tornadoes don't happen in Rhode Island.
Randy Williams was on his morning commute in Johnston when he saw this cross in front of his car.
It was heading right towards my vehicle, lifted me in the air really briefly, and changed my the course that I was going. So I got extremely lucky that no one was next to me.
Don't believe it. A tornado.
The National Weather Service will have to confirm if that is a tornado in Rhode Island. But witnesses driving near the intersections of Route 6 and 295 in Johnston, Rhode Island, say they saw one touchdown on this morning's commute.
Wow.
A closer look shows a car on the highway that witnesses say was picked up and moved by strong winds. David Danella is an off-duty firefighter who was driving in the area and felt it.
Her car was in the middle of it, like cyclone winds, I guess that's what you call them. And it picked her car up and it spun her around like that. And then it just dropped it back down. It was a tornado. And I moved my truck about 4 or 5 feet. And I didn't know what to do. I thought I was a goner.
David was okay. The woman in the car was not. She was transported by ambulance to Rhode Island Hospital with injuries to her neck and back.
After seeing that get thrown around, I was like, oh man, I'm next.
Randy Williams says one tornado is enough for a lifetime.
Probably won't move to the Midwest anytime where they get tornadoes often.
And there we go. That was courtesy of WCVB Channel 5 Boston. And you could check it out on their YouTube channel as well if you wanted to later. Really, really interesting. What I would probably consider like a quick spin up in a line of storms or something like that. But they are very lucky. That was a little tiny tornado, not one of the big ones you see in like Mississippi or Oklahoma, Texas, like mile wide monsters. That thing was a little bit smaller. You saw that what looked like almost a vortice or something spin across the road. So very, very interesting. What says, I lived in Mexico Beach, Florida when Michael Category 5 direct hit. Thinking of you, California. Hi, Ping. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I have a lot of friends who live in Florida that also went through Michael, and they are not quite the same since, I don't think. I think that really affected the people's psyche, the ones that stayed. I think it taught them that, not all hurricanes are equal, and sometimes it's better to leave. Floridians and some other states, they're very tough people, but those type of things you see with these events can be life-changing, unfortunately. Paygirl says, our Hurricane Fiona was so bad here. The one that you guys are in, if you're from Houston, Texas, you guys had Hurricane Harvey. That was a pretty bad one a couple of years ago too. Massive amounts of flooding. People having to be rescued by a boat. Oh, Lindy Bridges, the very first part of the storm is hitting us. The temperature is dropping. It's very humid and the wind has picked up. Lindy, where are you? If you can say without, doxing yourself, if you can give us a sort of, you can just say, I'm in Southeast, wherever, instead of like, the 5 and Dime down the road is on the 28th Street. You don't have to go into that detail. Oh, Nanalana, Ping, my dear friend Woos is here. I told her all about you. She told me about Tim Tams. I think that's a fair trade. I think telling her about me and then you get told about Tim Tams is a fairly good trade. You wait till she tells you about the different special edition Tim Tams that we get. We get all these really interesting flavor combinations. They, like Murray River, caramel salt, and white chocolate and raspberry, and all sorts of different ones they have down here. They do them like every 6 months or so. They come up with new ones. Oh, Mrs. Ping is saying the coconut ones are good. She likes those ones. All right. I wanted to show you a bit more of the forecast information. So let's go back to this one. This is the one that I am really interested in, if it'll open for us. No, you're not going to do that for us. KTLA, Ah, there we go. So this is projected rainfall, and you have your scale on the right-hand side. You see a lot of it in California is more of the rainfall. Some areas getting over 10 inches, especially out here, out in the east, where the mountains are. I think that's going to be one of the big problem areas. So possibly the highways connected going into LA could be a big problem. Could be a lot of mud flow and things like that. Love You No More says, I'm not a big fan of chocolate. I think you and I Hate Chocolate should become friends. You may have a lot to talk about. But yeah, definitely a lot of rain, especially when these systems tend to like start breaking apart. You start getting just dumps of rain. I mean, hurricanes give rain anyway, but they can last for days and, you know, build up over areas where you don't want it to. But California, with all the bushfires and, um, drought and that, as much as hurricanes and ex-tropical storms and ex-tropical hurricanes really suck, it's going to be maybe good in the long run if some of the catchment areas can get some sort of rain. It'd be good. I know their levels have increased over the years, the last couple of years, but it would be nice if they could keep some of that. Let's have a look at this one. This is the flood risk zones. So San Diego in the firing line. That is going to be, whoop. There we go. I can show you this a bit more close up. San Diego, outside of Los Angeles to the west. It's pretty, seems to stop here at the border. They're like, no, we don't forecast for Mexico. Our limits are the border. But I suggest that it's probably going to be just as bad a bit further south too. It looks like as you get further this way, so it looks like it's going to head north, straight north almost, by the looks of it. It's going to hit here and go straight up. Very interesting. I hope it's not as bad as they forecast. They had that one last year that went through Shreveport, Louisiana, and they were suggesting that it was going to be like Harvey, and they were like, it could be like, 15-foot storm surge and life-threatening water, and it never happened. It never eventuated. I mean, it's good that they had the warnings and people were alert because, Harvey was fresh in people's minds, but it never eventuated. There was a lot of rain and, storm damage and things like that, but there was no crazy 14-foot storm surge. It just didn't happen. And, I hope that's what happens here. I hope it's not as quite as bad as they're predicting. Hopefully these are like the max range of their forecasting. Oddly enough, the Big W sells Tim Tams. Laura G, do you know in Australia we have a store called Big W as well, but it's not the same Big W as you have. It's a different one. We also have a Target, which is a different one, and a Kmart, which is a different one. We just have all these stores that have similar names, but they're not the same store. Yeah. Let me grab you a different view because I want to see this. All right, hold on. I think we can play this. Can we play this without getting in trouble? Yes, we can. Like Bob the Builder says, we can do that. Is it that one? No. It's going to have to be that one. I don't think it is that one though. No, it's this one. Oh, Ping, why can't you control the StreamYard? You can see my little cat in the background. Say hello to him. He's being very naughty. I don't know what he's doing. Being a bit silly. All right, let's have a look at this video. See if we can get some.
And a new update.
All right, there we go. Let me.
From the National Hurricane Center, they
don't
just
do
issued.
that. There we go.
issued tropical storm watches that include part of the Southern California coast. I'll show you that in just a second. But here's the latest satellite loop. You can see that well-defined eye indicating the storm. Yeah, it's holding on to its strength. It's still a Category 4 storm as of the 8 a.m. update from the Hurricane Center with winds of 145 miles per hour. This area in blue in the southern Baja of California, that is the tropical storm warning, where tropical storm conditions are expected to be imminent here within the next 24 hours. Here's the new watch. It includes the coastline right along San Diego, and you can see just to the south of the Los Angeles area as well. So that means forecasters increasing their confidence in the potential for tropical storm force winds. And we've been talking about that likelihood of very heavy rainfall in Southern California as well. Our impacts in Northern California, far less severe. In fact, some may not see much of anything at all. But here's the moisture streaming northward out ahead of the center of the storm. Still down here on this particular model. This is 6 o'clock Sunday morning. So heavy rain already starting in Southern California at this point. We'll see some showers into the Sierra, but the better chance for rain, if we're going to get it into Northern California, really comes on Monday. You can see how that moisture spreads across the Sierra, comes down into the foothills, and there's going to be kind of a fine line to walk as far as the valley goes. I do think Sacramento will see at least some rainfall to start next week, so certainly noteworthy there. But this, what you're looking at, is the Storm Prediction Center's best estimate of where the worst of the rainfall is going to be. They call it the excessive rainfall outlook. This area in pink, which includes Palm Springs, that is a 70% chance of rainfall that will likely cause flash flooding, urban flooding, and arroyo flooding as well. A slight chance of that extends into northern Nevada, but notice none of that really encompassing our area, not even in the Sierra. So any rainfall that we see, mostly going to be beneficial. Heavy rain confined to Southern California. Rain is possible as you go into the Sacramento Valley. Again, with the emphasis on the possible there. We'll get more data in over the next day or so. If we do get rain, that best chance is going to come later Sunday into the day on Monday. So a heads up for the start of next week for the commute. That may be something we have to deal with. But if we do get rain, that would keep temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s.
Yeah, we'll
Not bad.
take it. Yeah.
There you go. At least for Northern California, it looks like rainfall could be beneficial. So that's what I was saying before. I hope, because of the drought and lack of water, that this might do some good for some people in California. But our friends in San Diego are really going to have a rough couple of days. Just always have a backup plan, always have your go bag, and just understand that it could take time to get things like power back on. Sometimes water goes out and you need to make sure you have, fresh water on hand. I've seen people advise like filling up bathtubs with fresh water before the storm hits, just in case your water supply becomes compromised and you need it to like flush toilets or, wash something very quickly. So let's hope for the minimal, and hopefully it's not as bad as they say it's going to be, because it'll dissipate. They already showed you that on that broadcast, that as it moves north over land, it's going to break up and become just rain and wind within about a day. Within about a day, it's not going to be a Cat 4 anymore. It's going to be just a weather system. You've probably seen worse during times of the year once it gets a little further north. So Laura G says, Amazon also sells Tunnix tea cakes. Oh, are they those little half circle type chocolate things? I've seen those in the supermarkets down here, but I've never tried one. They're from England, I think. I can't say I've ever had it, but they also make a caramel stick thing as well, but I've never had it. I've never had those either. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Wasport says our Earth is cleansing itself with water and fire. Yeah, I mean, it's if you live in Australia, like some of the chat does, we get taught that fire brings rejuvenation of forests and things like that. It looks horrible, and there's like loss of life and animals and trees and stuff, but it actually helps rejuvenate some areas. Some of the plants in Australia are so used to smoke and bushfire that they get into a sort of like a let's get better and grow faster type of thing. And it's really interesting because we had an island that was burnt to a crisp through a bushfire about a year or two ago, and it's already rejuvenated a lot of it. A lot of it's already got like fresh trees and green grass. It's amazing how fast some of those areas can come back to life after a fire. So, Nanalana says we're talking about food again, Pink. I know. You guys are corrupting my show every week. You guys get me onto pizza, cakes, chocolates, any type of food. Hey, Reason, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Do you have your beret on? I bet you do. So, these shows are not supposed to be all that long. I promised I would only do about 40 minutes or so each update, just while we get started. I'm just trying to get the viewing numbers up. Hold on. I don't know. Cat's going crazy. Gambler says, are you referring to Kmart in the USA? In Canada, we had Kmart until 1990. Some were made into Zellas. Then all Zellas closed. Zellas has started up again on a small scale. Our Kmart's a little bit different. I'm not sure if it has any relation to anything to do with the USA one, but we do have that. We have Kmart, Target. We have a Woolworths as well. I know in America you guys have a Woolworths or used to. I think someone said most of them have closed over the last 10 years. You don't have very many of them anymore. But give me 2 minutes. I'm just going to get some more fire information. Fire. I was going to show you this photo. It's one of the best that I've seen, if I can find it. If it wants to be my friend. And it's not being my friend. Come on. I think it's this one. Here you go. This is what we see a lot of. Not to this extent when we have fires, but you just see, look at that traffic. Just all the cars evacuating out of the area. I think often that's one of the saddest things because people are leaving their, jobs, homes, lives, and they don't even know if when they return, will there be anything left? Will their homes still be there? Will they, have jobs to go back to? And that's one of the saddest things because there was another Canadian bushfire a few years ago, and it basically wiped out an entire town. And I'm not even sure if they've rebuilt that one yet. So, a lot of people were watching their homes burn on Ring door cams. They left the Ring door cams at home and were watching as the fires came through and basically melted and burnt their homes down. And I'm sure that is a fear of the people here that are evacuating the area, is that there may not be nothing to go back to. That's always the saddest thing with these fires. And I was trying to find what they call a fire diagram print where they show you where the fire is today. But let me have a look. Current as of 16th. That was days ago. Today's the 19th. What are they talking about? Just trying to see if this is the latest one. Current conditions. Let's have a look. They don't have one yet. Maybe previous day. Let's have a look. Aha, here we go. Now, Gambler might be able to help me with this. because Gambler would know a little bit more about this. So I don't know a ton about this map because it looks so different to the one we use, but fire weather index. So this is just the forecast for what areas could be impacted by fires over 30. At least, is that what it's saying? Gambler, you can help me out if you know. This is not the one I was looking for. The ones they produce in Australia actually show you the fire fronts over a Google map. So you'll see like a Google map with the actual fire fronts on it in different areas, and that's what I was looking for, but I thought this was going to be it, but it doesn't look like it. So it depends on the Nanalana is saying, is the US going to get all that smoke again? I did hear there was some threat to New York that they may, depending on the weather patterns, that they may get some impact of smoke again. I don't know if it'll be as bad as the one in July, but it could be. Now, give me 2 seconds. I really want to try find the other type of map, and I'm sure they produce one. Let's see if it's this one. Previous day. No, this is fire and 3 hotspots. Okay, so this is probably showing you where there are fires, I'm guessing. Indicating a heat source. A hotspot is a satellite. Okay, so this is basically wherever they could see that there was a heat source in the last 24 hours. Map created on 2059 UTC. Okay, yeah, yesterday. So it would have been for yesterday's data. If I click today, I don't think they have one yet. No. So that's the current one for the 18th. That's a lot of area covered by what could be some sort of, fire. That's a lot of area coming down into the States too. Some of these will be small ones. Some of these will be ones that are burnt out and creating just probably embers and things like that. Gambler says in Kelowna or Kelowna, BC, homes have been destroyed. A friend lives in BC, close to the US border. She has been sharing about people looking for help with animals and people offering land to take them. Yeah, I did see that one of the biggest problems was people that own acreage or farms or anything where they have horses and cows and sheep and all that kind of thing. Where do they take the animals? Or do they just let them stay on the property and possibly die in the fire? And it's quite good when you see these people that are willing to step up and take animals onto their land to try and save them from the fires. It's trying to transport them at a moment's notice, which can be really difficult. So most of the time, I think I've seen mostly people just save things like goats, horses. Sometimes, cattle's hard to move, especially if you've got 500 head of cattle. You can't really move it, can you? So I hope, more people step up and help out their neighbors where they can. Candy Williams says the severity of the weather feels unprecedented. Unprecedented gets used a lot in weather, and while it has been a pretty bad summer with lots of running 100+ days, I think we got so used to the La Nina conditions over 3 years that we sort of forgot what it was like to have a really strong summer. And now with El Nino coming back, I think we could be in for a couple of years of this type of bad bushfire season, bad fires, high temperatures, lack of rain, unless you get a hurricane, but not a lot of precipitation. So Gambler says, I'm on my tablet ping. I can't see the map that well. There's supposed to be over 1,000 fires. Yeah, I think that's what that map is showing, all the little fires. There's supposed to be over 1,000 fires in Canada right now. The Northwest Territories are evacuating now. I hope they get the people out. I really do. Yeah, so this is actually, let's switch to this one. This is actually an interview with the Premier for the Northwest Territories in Canada. They were saying, we're all tired of the word unprecedented. There you go, gambler. Yet there is no other way to describe this situation in the Northwest Territories. I guess that's probably true. Greg Mullins, former NSW fire commissioner, when you get your Black Summers, your Mauis, your Canadas, doesn't matter how many aircraft you have, how many fire trucks, they're not enough. Yeah, I think that's one of the things people realize is eventually you can do only so much to basically contain and then try and minimize, but the fires have a life of their own, especially when they get into, and I'll show you something in a minute about how they escalate. The fires are around 16 kilometers away from Yellowknife, but if there's no rain, it could reach the city by Saturday. Officials have been worried strong winds could push the fire towards the highway. That would be very bad. It might cut off one of the escape routes. Cliff Chapman, British Columbia Director of Wildfire Operations, has warned significant fire growth is anticipated, and he expects resources to be challenged. It's very, very brutal. But give me 1 second. I'm going to show you something that I worry about. Okay. Let's see if I can put this on. Yes. Often, even in Australian bushfires, this situation occurs quite frequently. And there was summer in 2020, the 2019/2020 season, I think. We had 6 fires, all with this setup happening at the same time. It's really not like I've never seen that before. I've seen 1 or 2 sort of escalate and have this, but some of these fires start making their own weather systems, and we often get warnings that are like, this fire located at XYZ has started to create its own weather system. And what they mean by that is this. And this is pyrocumulonimbus clouds. And you see it sees air get sucked in. It makes like a stack, like a cloud stack, and then you get water vapor condensers forming clouds above the fire. You get downbursts, which don't help. It helps feed it or destroy things, and then you get lightning. And lightning creates more fires in front of the main line, so you end up with more fires, and it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, you get a fire, you know, you're trying to put it out, and then it's sort of like it jumps ahead. This can also get even more extreme, and it can produce a supercell and end up rotating and putting down a tornado. So then you have a bushfire, you have clouds and lightning, and then you have could be an EF3 tornado that's with your fire. And I know people think I'm speaking crazy talk, but it happened down here in Australia. I've seen another example of it in Canada. I've seen one in California had a pyro tornado, and they happen quite frequently. I really wish I could play a video for you, but I'll get copyright struck. But what I'll do is I'll put it in the description, I know in the chat, and please go and watch it. It's very, very interesting. See if you can find it. It's let me see. Oh, we might be able to watch it. Hold on. Maybe we can go to Facebook. Hold on. Let's see if I can find a little bit of this. All right. Yeah, this is the documentary. I'll put the link in the chat. I'm just going to share this. All right, let's get me out of here. All right, I'm not sure why this one doesn't have any sound, but what you're seeing here on the screen is you're seeing someone film the bushfire or wildfire, and this is the tornado on the ground in the bushfire. You can see it right here. This is your rotating wall cloud here. This kind of like box shape here where my mouse is. This is your rotating wall cloud right here. And this is your tornado right on here. This is the left edge here. This is your right edge over here. And this is a full-blown US style tornado in a bushfire caused by pyrocumulus. So really, really brutal. It does happen. And yeah, they're very severe. This was one of the very first ones that they caught on camera, I'm pretty sure. They knew they sort of happened. And this documentary is very, very good. I'll put the link in the chat to the original one on I think it's on ABC or SBS, and it explains how they figured it out. And I'll tell you one of the weird things in the documentary. One of the things they saw is when they went through the aftermath of the fire, they were looking around and they're like, why is there cars on their roof? How did they flip these cars, and why are houses missing their roofs? Like, where did the roofs go? And they figured out that a tornado had come through, flipped the cars, and ripped the roofs off houses. This tornado was rated at an EF3 tornado, and it's ended up being one of the most severe tornadoes to ever hit Australia. And it was coming out of a bushfire, not a supercell thunderstorm. So very, very amazing that this can happen. I'm pretty sure the Australian team was one of the first to verify that these really do happen, and put the science behind it and show how they actually generate and things like that. So I will try and find the link for you guys and then put it into the chat, because it's really, really interesting. I wish that would have had sound, because it's very very, very interesting. Oh, hold on. We have a better copy that I can show you. All right, this one has sound. Yeah. Let me get out of here.
Me out over the back of the Burns Club towards Chapman, coming in them poor bastard houses and heading our way. Holy shit. I've never in my life seen anything like it. Holy mackerel. A big fireball. It's got to be ripping poor bastards' houses up there. Oh my god, what is... Holy Jesus. This is bad news. It's coming straight down towards David Nelson's place, like a tornado. Just like a big fireball tornado, look at it. Oh. This is rather frightening. This is ripping me right through because the house is just up 100 miles an hour here. This is a joke. Oh, I get pitted with stuff. Stinging the daylights out of me. No, I'm not bloody go home. What is this? It's heading that way. Shoots of tin floating. You can hear it in the camera. Power line going down. There'll be more fires. Oh, jeez.
That tornado missed him by, a football field worth, not very far at all. And you hear him at the end saying, "Oh, I hear floating tin, corrugated iron. Oh, I hear branches snapping and hitting, me and the camera, stuff like that." And they're not bushfire things; they're all tornado things. That thing was huge. You watch the left side of the screen during that video, and watching it coming to frame, it was quite a large tornado. And it was an EF3 or F3. I'm not sure which one they used, but really brutal. And I don't think this guy really knew what he was actually videotaping, and his video ended up being really crucial to them figuring it out and learning about fire tornadoes, and really, really interesting. So there's a full documentary. This is the raw video. There's a full documentary that I'll put in the comments for people to watch and explain a little bit more about how these work. So I really hope that they don't happen in Canada during these bushfire season and the bushfires happening right now. But they are something to watch out for, especially when you get those fires start making their own weather systems and start making pyrocumulonimbus clouds. It's pretty rare. It doesn't happen that often. You need the perfect set of circumstances. But yeah, there was one in, I think someone in the chat said in California a couple of years ago. It was pretty impressive. And the one in California was a lot more clearer, the footage that they had of this than this. There's a couple of nice photos of it, actually, that some people took. Yeah, Redding in California. Let's have a look. There was a really good photo of it that I saw that someone had taken is it this one? I don't want to say the wrong or show the wrong thing, but it was in the car fire. That's it. So I don't have a great photo of it. There is one, and you can see sort of, okay, I guess this is not too bad. So you can share this. This is, you can sort of see the rotation here. I'm not sure if this is actually the full tornado or not, but you can sort of see that updraft getting sucked up and in that swirl motion. So I remember when it happened, it was pretty brutal. So you mentioned that guy in that video I showed you, and then trying to live through that, I can't imagine. So let's see what people are saying in the chat. Just seeing if there's anything interesting. Woo says, during the fires here in 2019 to 2020 was so scary here, so smoky they had evacuations centers down the road from me. Yeah, there was a couple of really bad fires during that season. I often track the fires in the Australian fire season, and it was pretty bad. Woo says, bring back terrible memories for me. I was lucky I lived on the other side of Canberra at the time. That's correct. That was a pretty brutal bushfire, the Canberra 2003 bushfires. In 2003, I was actually in Queensland at the time, but in 1990, 1994 or 5, I was on the central north coast of New South Wales at my grandparents' house, and we were in the bushfires up there in that year. And I remember being up late with my granddad, sitting out the back. He didn't sleep all night because he wanted to watch the fire. And I remember seeing the fire coming over the mountain, and I was like, kept asking, "We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right." And he's like, if we have to go, I'll tell you. That's what he kept saying. If I had to go, I'll tell you. So very, very frightening. So I can sympathize with the people who are in Canada and Northern America right now, like northern states of America, suffering through fire season. Oh, Gambler says, thanks for sharing. I've never heard of those kind of tornadoes before. Well, I'm glad I taught you something and it was interesting. Please watch the full-length documentary that I'll leave in the comments for everyone. I'll have to go look for it. And it's well worth having a watch of how they did the science behind confirming that pyro tornado. Very, very good. Very, very interesting. Give me 1 second, then we're going to start closing up for the night. This went on a little bit longer. I talk a bit too much. So give me 1 second. Right, I just wanted to check something before we start wrapping up for the night. I really appreciate it. I know it's really, really late where everyone is. I hope people come back and watch on the replay and leave a comment and please subscribe. And Wooz, and we had another new person here too. Was it, I'll never be able to pronounce the name. Our friend Wasport. Guys, stick around. I'd really love to have you here. Please think of subscribing if you haven't already. And yeah, Laura G, I'm going to head off too. Have a great night. If people want it, I can come back on after Trisha's show tomorrow and we can do another weather update. I hope you guys found it interesting. I've never done a weather show for you all yet. So, oh, Paygirl says, I've never heard anything on that shark that washed ashore yet. Okay, Paygirl, if you do, let me know. But other than that, it's been fun. I hope we get to do more of these soon. And see you again shortly. And please, everyone in California and Baja and Mexico, please stay safe and put your plans of action into action now and not when the storm is 2 minutes away. Try and get your action plans and bags and things like that done early. Yep. All right. Thank you all. It's very nice of you to be here. And good night. See you later.